As Vine walked into the luxurious office of the dangerous mafia Jungkook, also her boss, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease wash over her. The atmosphere was tense and quiet, with the employees working diligently at their desk, afraid to make any noise that might disturb Jungkook. He was known to be cold and arrogant, and his reputation for being dangerous preceded him. Everyone avoided to face his anger because he don't like people just sit around and gossip. Good morning, Miss Leah. She greeted a female employee with a bright smile. Oh, good morning, honey. She greeted her back, briefly glancing at her as she was busy typing something. Is it something important that you are not looking at me? She playfully asked while Miss Leah nodded. I have to complete this report in less than 20 minutes and pass it to the boss, she whispered, and again started typing while Ryan signed. So today no one is going to breathe properly, she said, knowing her boss' anger and his mood. Surely he was angry today too. Miss Leah nodded at Ryan's question while she signed and turned, brushing her hand on the desk without noticing the stack of papers that scattered on the ground as her hand accidentally hit on them. Ryan gasped. Her eyes widened while she covered her mouth with her both hands. I'm sorry, Miss Leah, I didn't see them. She apologized immediately and squatted down and started gathering the papers again while Leah shook her head. It's okay, Ryan, it's normal when you are around. I'm used to it. She chuckled when Ryan pouted. She placed the stack again on the desk and about to arrange them when Leah stopped her. Leave them. I will arrange it. Don't worry. You should go to the office. Boss will be waiting for you, she said. Oh, I forgot. I have a boss. I'm going and sorry again, she said while Leah smiled. Go, go. Don't let him scold you today, Leah said while Van nodded before heading towards Jungkook's office. Van had been working as Jungkook's personal secretary for the past 5 months. She was intelligent and hard-working, but her clumsiness always seemed to get the best of her, especially when she was around Jungkook. Despite his cold exterior, Van couldn't help but develop feelings for him secretly. She admired his strong demeanor and respected him. While heading towards Jungkook's office, Ryan had bought a cup of coffee for Jungkook, hoping to brighten his mood. However, as she entered his office, he was talking on phone with someone. His back was facing her. Ryan felt a sense of relief because he wasn't watching her that made her nervous. Ryan placed a cup on his desk just then Jungkook turned. His piercing gaze held on hers, and her nerves got the best of her and she accidentally spilled the hot liquid all over herself. Jungkook's eyes widened in concern as he quickly stood up from his desk. Are you okay? He asked, his voice surprisingly gentle while noted her face flushed with embarrassment as she tried to dab at the coffee stain on her skirt. Jungkook's expression quickly hardened as he regained his composure. You need to be more careful, Miss Fine. This is a place of business, not a playground, he said, his voice not cold, not gentle, but Vine could see the seriousness. Vine bit her lip, knowing that she had made a grave mistake. Start with clumsiness, ends with clumsiness. Vine thought, remembering how she broke the glass in the morning at her kitchen, and while running inside the office building, her shoe slipped out of her feet. So embarrassing. I'm so sorry, Mr. Jungkook. I will be more careful in the future. Jungkook noted, his eyes lingering on her for a moment longer before he returned to his desk. Wan couldn't help but feel a strange warmth wash over her at his brief show of concern. She knew that Jungkook had a reputation to uphold, but she saw a softer side of him that others didn't get to see. You can change and get back to work, he added, looking at his phone screen while Val nodded before quickly rushed out of the office. I hope she doesn't burn herself, he murmured, and signed heavily, shaking his head shortly before focusing on his work. Throughout the day, Why navigate the office, interacting with the employees as everyone likes her because she was only one who kept them entertained, even it was just for a short period, while she was trying to keep up with Jungkook's demanding schedule. She could feel the tension in the air whenever Jungkook was present, but she tried her best to remain composed and efficient in her work. As the day drew to a close, Van found herself alone in Jungkook's office, organizing the paperwork on his desk. Suddenly, the door swung open and Jungkook strode in, his usual cold and distant aura surrounding him. Miss Vine, I need you to make some calls for me before you leave, he said, curtly, his eyes fixed on her. Vine noted, her heart pounding in her chest as she picked up the phone and began to dialing the numbers. She could feel Jungkook's presence behind her, his intense gaze burning into her back as he was watching her every little move. After a few minutes of making calls, Vine felt a sense of relief wash over her as she finished the task. She turned to face Jungkook, a small smile on her face. Is there anything else you need, Mr. Jungkook? She asked, trying to sound confident while Jungkook's gaze softened slightly as he looked at her. No, that will be all for tonight. You can go home now. Vine nodded, gathering her belongings as she prepared to leave. As she walked towards the door, Jungkook's voice stopped her in her track. Miss Vine, be careful out there. The streets can be dangerous at night. Drive safely. He said, his tone surprisingly caring. Vine's heart skipped a beat as she turned to look at him. She could see a hint of vulnerability in his eyes, a side of Jungkook that she had never seen before for anyone. In that moment, she knew that there was more to him than his cold exterior and dangerous reputation. With a grateful smile, Vine nodded and left the office, her mind buzzing with thoughts of the enigmatic mafia boss who had captured her heart in more ways than one. I hope she reached home without hitting somewhere, he murmured under his breath, looking at her disappearing figure. Jungkook couldn't hold himself but drawn towards Vian's playful and carefree personality. He tried to stop feeling this way but ended up falling for her. The more he tried to stay away, the more he found himself thinking about her than usual. But he surprised his feelings because he knew they both were like earth and sky. The next day, Wai nervously entered Jungkook's office, her hand slightly trembling as she knocked on the door. Jungkook looked up from his desk, a slight frown on his face as he motioned for her to enter. Vine, I need you to come in here for a moment. We need to discuss the upcoming meeting that we have tomorrow, he said in his usual calm and cold voice. Vine nodded, taking a seat in front of Jungkook's desk. She knew that the meetings he attended were always important, but this one seemed to be different. Jungkook had a serious look on his face, which made Vine even more nervous. I need you to accompany me to the meeting tomorrow. It's at one of the clubs I own, and I need you there as my secretary. Jungkook said, his voice firm, but Vine's eyes widened in surprise. She had attended a meeting with Jungkook before, but it was always in a more traditional setting. The thought of being in a room full of gangsters and businessmen made her stomach churn. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that, Mr. Jungkook. She stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Jungkook raised an eyebrow, his gaze unwavering. Miss Ryan, you are my secretary. It's your job to attend these meetings with me. I need someone I can trust by my side, and that someone is you. Why knew she couldn't refuse Jungkook's request. Despite her fear, she knew that she needed to be there for him. Taking a deep breath, she nodded in agreement. I will be there, Mr. Jungkook. She said, her voice more confident this time. Jungkook nodded in approval, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Good, I knew I could count on you, Vian. Now, let's go over the details of the meeting so that you are prepared. As Jungkook began to explain the agenda of the meeting, Vian felt a sense of determination wash over her. She may be nervous, but she knew that she had to be strong for Jungkook. She couldn't let him down. She was feeling nervous because she was afraid of doing something stupid in nervousness. She wished she could handle her clumsiness just for one day so that she will not embarrass Jungkook. The following day, Vine found herself standing outside the club where the meeting was being held. Her heart pounded in her chest as she took a deep breath and followed Jungkook inside. Just as she woke up in the morning, she controlled herself and did everything carefully to not break anything. The day should start carefully so that it ends well. She was determined even though her heart was beating uncontrollably, but she didn't let her nervousness take control on her. She doesn't want to embarrass Jungkook at any cost. The club was dimly lit. The smell of cigarette smoke and alcohol filled the air. One could feel the tension in the room as she looked around at the various gangsters and businessmen gathered there. Jungkook led Ryan to a table at the center of the room, taking a seat with a confident smile on his face. Ryan sat beside him, her hands folded in her lap as she tried to appear composed and avoid accidentally touch things that might fall and break. The meeting began, and Ryan listened intently as Jungkook spoke with authority and confidence. She couldn't help but admire the way he commanded the room. His presence undeniable. It was indeed not a normal meeting, Ryan assumed. As the meeting progressed, Ryan noticed a group of gangsters exchanging heated words with the one of the businessmen. The tension in the room escalated and Ryan felt a sense of unease wash over her. Suddenly, the situation took a dangerous turn as one of the gangsters pulled out a gun, aiming it at the businessman. Ryan's heart stopped as she watched in horror, unsure of what to do. Before she could react, Jungkook intervened, his voice firm as he ordered the gangster to lower his weapon. Lower your guns if you want to walk out from here breathing. The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at Jungkook, their eyes filled with fear. In that moment, Ryan knew that Jungkook was more than just a mafia boss. He was a leader, a protector, someone to be feared and revered. As the meeting came to a close, Ryan felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had survived her first meeting in the world of gangster and businessmen, and she had Jungkook to thank for it. Ryan, I'm proud of you. You did well. He said, and Ryan felt a sarcasm in his tone. She laughed awkwardly. You seriously did well because you didn't panic. He said this time with a small smile. Ryan then smiled back, grateful for his word of encouragement. She may have been nervous, but she knew that as long as Jungkook was by her side, she could handle anything that came her way. Mr. Jungkook, do you want something to drink? I am just going out for a while to look around the club, she said while Jungkook nodded. I don't want anything, but be careful out there, he said and sat comfortably scrolling down on his phone while Ryan smiled and turned to go out. As the club was luxurious, the interior design catch her eyes. Ryan walked into the club, her eyes wide with wonder as she took into the opulent surroundings. She knew this was her boss Jungkook's club, a place reserved for high-profile and rich bras. She couldn't help but feel a sense of thrill as she roamed around taking in the sights and sounds of the bustling club. But her excitement quickly turned to dread when she spotted him across the room, the guy who had made her high school days a living hell, the bad boy who had bullied her relentlessly, making her life a nightmare. All the memories of his cruel words and actions came flooding back, sending a chill down her spine. She tried to turn and leave as soon as possible, but before she could make her escape, he was standing in front of her, a big smirk on his face. Hey there, Ryan, long time no see, huh? He slurred, clearly intoxicated. He ran his eyes up and down her figure, making her skin crawl. Ryan instinctively backed away, trying to maintain a safe distance from him, but he was relentless. He reached out and touched her hand, causing Ryan to feel disgust and enraged. Tears welled up in her eyes as she tried to push him away, but he refused to back off. Just as the guy was about to cross line, Jungkook appeared. The air around him crackled with danger. His presence commanding and powerful. Ryan's heart raced as he sat down on a stool nearby. His guards surrounding them instantly pulled out their guns and aimed them at the bully's head, causing him to pale in terror. In one swift motion, Jungkook pulled Ryan onto his lap, a possessive arm around her waist. The guy's eyes widened in fear as he realized the gravity of the situation. You dare to touch what's mine? His voice was low and dangerous as he claimed Ryan as his own. Stay away from her or you will face the consequences, he warned him, and with a whimper, the guy backed away, his tail between his legs, as he made a hasty retreat. Jungkook signaled one of his men silently enough for him to understand what to do as he followed Ryan's bully. Ryan's heart was still pounding with shock as she looked up at Jungkook, a mix of fear and gratitude in her eyes. Jungkook then turned his attention to Ryan, pulling her onto his lap comfortably with a smirk. I can't leave you alone for a minute, can I? It is trying to lighten the mood after the tense encounter. Ryan couldn't help but smile shyly, revealed that Jungkook had come to her rescue, but then something clicked her mind. What does that mean, that I'm yours? She asked while Jungkook leaned closer. His breeze brushing over her face. It means you are mine. It means you belong to me, and it means I claim you as my girl. It means that I love you, Ryan. He said every word come out smoothly as he stared directly in her eyes and made butterflies dance in the stomach. You can now leave me, his goon. She said to hide her blush, but Jungkook instead tightened his grip on her waist. Why? Are you scared of him? No, why will I be scared of him? He is nothing in front of you. Oh, you mean I am the most scariest person? No, I didn't say that. He smirked. Then you like me too. Vine slowly nodded. Don't make me nervous, she murmured, looking at her lap as her cheeks were red. I'm not making you nervous, but I'm giving you butterflies. I'm making you blush. He whispered and kissed on her cheek, made her hide her face in her palms. Jungkook laughed. As they sat together, Jungkook confessed his feelings for Ryan, surprising her with his sincerity. He promised to always protect her and keep her safe no matter what. Ryan was touched by his words, feeling grateful to have him by her side. The rest of the night passed in a blur of music, laughter, and shared moments between Ryan and Jungkook. Despite the initial turmoil, they found solace in each other's company, their bond growing stronger with each passing moment. In the end, I realized that sometimes the past may have been dark and painful, but the present held the promise of a brighter future ahead. And with Jungkook by her side, she knew that she could face whatever challenges came her way.